good morning, guys. It's about 3 a.m. over here on the East Coast, and it's about 26 degrees. Today, we're going to talk about how to try and clean up a Skype call. Now, if you watched any of our videos, you'll see that I do not use Skype to record with. They're just too unpredictable. I don't use any VOIP system, actually. But if you come up to the website, yourpodcastreview.com, and you click on recording interviews, you'll come down and you'll see what our process is. And anybody that we're going to conduct an interview with, we actually send them to this page. We give them a link. We allow them to read it. And then they can understand what we're trying to do, and they can help us achieve this. You have to remember, it takes everybody involved in the interview to make it a good interview, as well as the audio. So when you come down on the third paragraph, you can see where it says, if you would like to know more about why we do not use these VOIP systems, you can read more here. And when you click on it, you're going to come over to the page, and it's going to show you why we do not use VOIP systems. Again, they're just too unreliable. There's too many things that can go wrong with it. Now, on the second paragraph, we're going to talk a little bit about audio fade. And audio fade through these systems is when it happens, it's impossible for you to recover that audio. There's not a plugin known to mankind that's going to allow you to go in there and take that audio fade out. So what we do is we recommend people use their smartphones. And we're going to go over a little bit of that. I'm going to actually do a recording, and I'm going to put it into Reaper from my smartphone. And I'll show you what I do. And this is the same thing that I ask other people to do. Instead of using Skype or any of these other companies out there that say that they're going to give you that quality, I can assure you it's just not going to happen. Will it happen once or twice? Absolutely. But what happens when you do that interview or you do that podcast show that's the best you've ever done, and all of a sudden when you go to mix and master this audio, you're going to think, man, what in the world happened here? Because everything I was listening to as we were recording this sounded great. And that's the problem. You will not know until you get ready to mix and master your audio. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go over to Reaper and we're going to look at a particular file. Okay, guys, now back in Reaper, a couple things I want to show you here. First and foremost, what you must do is you must bring your audio up to the proper level before you do anything to it. And here we're going to look at the intro. We're going to come over to the right, and we are going to add a meter. Let me come down here. This is summed, and what summed means is it's taking both the left and the right channel together. Okay, so let's get this where we can look at it. Now, the only thing that this audio did not pass was the loudness range, and I'm going to show you why right here. This is the intro, and let's watch the meter.
Today's guest is One Last Question.
Okay, you can see we're at a negative 2.4. Now, once this goes over, we're going to listen to the intro music, and let's watch what this is. Okay, so we're running around a negative 21.1. It started off at a negative 25, so you can see that tremendous jump. And what happens is people start to listen to your podcast. They adjust their volume when it first starts. So it's louder. They adjust the volume down lower, and then when it comes to this music, they cannot hear it. They adjust their volume up again, and then all of a sudden, when they get to the other side of it, bam! There it is. It's jumping back up again by over 20 dBs. That's very, very painful on the ears if you're listening through some good earbuds or headphones or even, your stereo sitting there at your PC. depending on what kind of speakers that you operate with. Now, during this video, if you have a set of headphones, I highly suggest that you put them on, because this is where you're truly going to hear this difference. And this right here is what's referred to as the common background noise. Okay, this is in Skype. So let's go ahead and lock this down, and let's watch this on the meter. Okay, now when you see that, it's a negative 41.3 dBs. Here again, with the ACX, you have to have a maximum of a negative 60 dBs. Now, this has nothing to do with audio fade. If you get audio fade during your Skype call, there is nothing you can do. I answer many emails a week, and people saying, you know, Mac, how can I recover this audio? You can't. It's impossible. There is not a plugin you can use to recover audio fade. It's no different than if you remember back when you would sit there and take the dial and you would try and tune in that radio station, and that's that signal getting stronger and weaker. Okay? And that's what happens. You cannot go in there and boost that signal in that audio. It's impossible. So what we're going to do is we're going to use two plugins. We're going to come down here to the left on this track. We're going to click the FX, and we're going to add these in this order. The first thing we want to do is EQ it. Okay. Now, the second thing we're going to do is we're going to run a gate on it. Now, I do not use the Reaper gate. I love their plugins, but I just don't particularly care for this gate. So I bought one from Waves. I bought this plugin here. Okay. So at this point, we're going to come up here now, and I'm going to bring both these up again. And then I'm going to try and move them out of the way so we can see exactly what we're going to be working with. Give me just 1 second here, guys. Now we're going to set this back actually to the default. We're going to come up here, and we're just going to go with a stock track default. And we're just going to reset everything back to 0. We're going to bring this down. We don't really need the meter at this time because we'll be able to see it here. And now let's get back up over here to where we can get to some of my other markers. And this is going to be the background noise as well as the voice. And we're going to do a little EQing first. And then we're going to gate. All I do is come over, I set my cursor, left mouse click, I hold it down, I open this window, up here, the toggle repeat button, and that will lock it into what I want to see. Now, again, we're going to reset the defaults on this, and we're going to watch this meter here. Let's blow this up just a little bit.
That's you know, that's kind of just a temporary pending sort of situation. And
notice right here around the 20K how it just drops straight down. Keep an eye on that right there.
That's you know, that's kind of just a temporary pending sort of.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to roll off this bass. And I'm just going to play with this now. I'm going to manipulate it as I play this audio. I'm going to start moving these around till I like what I hear. Remember now, this is a personal preference. I want to come back up. I do want to make sure that I do have my gate turned off, which I do. And now I'm just strictly working with the EQ.
That's you know, that's kind of just a temporary pending sort of situation, and I hope to be back in full swing soon. Quite a lot of time with her, and as a result of that, I've passed on a few auditions or a few interviews, but that's That's kind of just a temporary pending sort of situation, and I hope to be back in full swing soon. Quite a lot of time with her, and as a result of that, I've passed on a few auditions or a few.
Okay, so right there at this point, I am a little deep right here. I've got a negative 3.5. Normally, I do not like to EQ more than 1 or 2 dBs at the very max. So let's go ahead and just listen to this again. Keep an eye over here now. And all I've done is just reduced all this static noise over here on the right-hand side.
That's, that's kind of just a temporary pending sort of situation, and I hope to be back in full swing soon. Quite a lot of time with her, and as a result of that.
Okay. Now, if you're listening with your headphones, at this point you're saying, well, Mac, there's not a whole lot of difference there. Well, that's true. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and bring up our gate. And we don't need this. I don't need the EQ anymore. And now let's watch our gate as it goes into effect and see what it's showing us. Okay, we're going to watch the meters here, and it's going to show us where we need to start closing this gate, and as well as when we need to open it.
And as a result of that, I've passed on a few auditions or a few interviews, but that's that's kind of just a temporary pending sort of situation, and I hope to be back in full swing soon. Quite a lot of time with her, and as a result of that, I've passed on a few auditions or a few interviews, but that's.
Now, when I talk about this is why I never recommend, guys, that you use a gate during pre-recording. And I'm going to show you why, because I'm going to raise this gate up now to where it's actually going to start chopping the interviewee voice. Now, if you do this pre-production, again, there's nothing you can do. There is no way you can go back and recover this audio. This is, again, why I highly suggest you do not run a gate as you are doing your recording. Use your gate afterwards. Okay, so let's go ahead and listen to this again now.
That's kind of just a temporary pending sort of situation, and I hope to be back in full soon. Quite a lot of her. As a result of that, I have passed on a few auditions or a few interviews, but
okay. So if you do this and you hear that choppiness, now that mimics audio fade or signal fade very closely. And here again, that's what I was saying before. If you do that, it is impossible to recover that audio. So I'm going to set this again, and then we're going to listen to this with the FX controls on and then off.
That's that's kind of just a temporary pending sort of situation, and I hope to be back in full swing soon. Quite a lot of time with her, and as a result of that, I've passed on a few auditions or a few interviews, but that's that's kind of just a temporary pending sort of situation, and I hope to be back in full swing soon. Quite a lot of time with her.
Okay. Now, to emphasize this, we're going to go over, I'm going to reduce this window, and we're simply going to look at the static now. Let's go down here and find us a piece. We're going to grab this slot right here. We're going to blow it up just a little bit. So this is with the FX control on. And this is with it off. On and off. So how do you get around this? Well, now we're going to use the smartphone to record the interview. And once I get this set up, we'll go back and we'll look at this from the website. Okay, guys. Now, what I've done is I've taken my smartphone, which is an iPhone. I have it set up as per the instructions up here on the website on how to do this. Now, I can be talking with somebody on Skype. I can be talking at Google Hangouts. I can be talking on any VOIP system. But yet the recording that we're going to mix and master in Reaper is going to be taken from my smartphone. And this will be enough audio here to where I can show you a good example. So what I've done is I've eliminated audio fade, power outages, computer crashes, software crashes, as well as the service providers going offline. Now, I have Comcast cable. They do unexpectedly go offline. And if they go offline, your audio, your everything, your Skype, it's all done. Okay? But by using this smartphone technique, I will always be able to have this recording. And I'm recording this in my second bedroom in my condo. There is no sound treatment. I simply have it about 3 inches away from my face, about 2 inches below. I have an actual box that I set to where it gets it that close to my voice. Okay? Now, let's go back to Reaper and we'll work this audio. Okay, guys, now we're back in Reaper with that audio clip that I just did. And we're going to go back to the beginning. And I do this every single time. This is how I do my process. So it doesn't matter whether there's 2 people recording from Skype or 10 people recording from Skype. This is the exact same process. So first of all, as you can see, I've got around a 2-second head on the file, and that is just room silence. This is very, very important when you send it off to have somebody do your audio, or for you to even be able to check your audio yourself. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at what the background noise is now, and let's just go ahead and watch the meter. So as you can see, it's 67, a negative 67.8 dBs, and you say, Mac, that is great. Well, that's extremely deceiving, and I'm going to show you why. Because the first thing we have to do is we have to bring this audio to the proper level. You can see how small that waveform is, so we're going to come up to extensions. We're going to come up to loudness. We're going to just click on this track, and we're going to analyze selected tracks. Now, keep in mind, there is no FX control whatsoever going on here at all. All we're doing is just taking the initial reading, and now we're going to find out what we need to do to bring this track to the proper level. I'm not worried about the total peak. I want the LUFs. Now, as you can see, it's a negative 36.7. The loudness range is a 3.2. The true peak is a negative 17.1 dB total peak. We're going to highlight this track. We're going to right mouse click it, normalize to a negative 16. We're going to hit normalize and just give it a second. Now, once this finishes the process, we're going to render this at the new level. And it will take just a second here, but it's going to show us what our readings are. And this will be the new readings once we render this file. I'm going to come up to my FX controls over here. And I'm going to go ahead and add my peak limiter on here. And the reason I tried to get past this is there's another way I wanted to show you how to do it, because it is faster. But if you're just learning how to do this, this truly is the way that you want to do it. Now, I have no idea what to set this at yet. Right now, it comes stock at a -12, so I'm going to come up and hit render again. Now, since I've already closed this track, I'm going to name this one 2. And I'm going to do the same thing. Up here where it says stem selected tracks, I'm going to hit master mix. And now that will allow me to render this, and let's watch what happens. Okay, as you can see now, we've come down to a 0.5 dB. And we don't want that either, so we're going to take this. Now, we're going to hit back. This time, we're going to come up here, and we're going to take the -12, and we're simply going to move it to a -14.5, 14.6, anywhere is close enough. And we're going to bring this up here. We don't really need that anymore. We don't need the meter. And we're going to hit render the one file, overwrite. Now, we're at a -0.5. We are within that range of the half of a dB, but we're going to hit back again. So now I'm going to take this to a 15. Or somewhere close to that proximity. You can always come up here and highlight it if you want to. If you want to get it exact, just click off of it, hit render one file, overwrite. Now see, we're up around the -0.7. We're definitely within that range again. I'm just going to go back. I'm going to take this up to 16, somewhere close to 16. Render one file. That I like. If I'm going to be within that tolerance range, I want it to be over. I want to have that -0.1 something. At this time, I'd hit close. That's going to put it back into the track. We don't need this anymore. We're going to take the FX. I do not need this initial track. I'm going to delete it. And there's our file. Now, at this point, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to have to, I don't need the peak limiter anymore. I don't need the compressor. I am going to take all of these off and start from scratch. Okay, so here we are. Now I'm going to add in the EQ, and then I'm going to add in the gate in that order. Okay, so we're going to bring up the EQ. We're going to bring up the gate. We don't need that anymore. And now I'm going to work this file. I'm going to turn my FX on. We're going to blow this back up again now that we have it at the proper level. Remember, we were below, I think, somewhere around a -60. I truly don't remember. We're going to turn the FX off. We're going to come back up here and grab our meter. Now let's look at the signal now that we've raised it to that proper level. See, now we're at the -47.7. This will not pass the ACX, but it's simple. We're going to take care of that. So we're going to go ahead and do away with the meter now. This, I've got the gate all the way down, so it will not even interact whatsoever. We can turn the FX back on. As you can see over here, it's not doing anything. I'm going to use the same standard one I use for podcasting. Let's watch the meter now. You can see the static down here. You can see it to the right. You can see exactly how the signal's going to go. So let's go ahead and unlock this and I'm going to play with this until I get my EQ the way that I want it to be with this particular phone signal. Okay, guys. Now, what I've done is I've taken my smartphone, which is an iPhone. I have it set up as per the instructions up here on the website on how to do this. Now, I can be talking with somebody on Skype. I can be talking at Google Hangouts. I can be talking on any VOIP system. But yet the recording that we're going to mix and master in Reaper is going to be taken from my smartphone. And this will be enough audio here to where I can show you a good example. So what I've done is I've eliminated audio fade, power outages, computer crashes, software crashes, as well as the service providers going offline. Now I have Comcast cable. They do unexpectedly go offline. And if they go offline, your audio, your everything, your Skype, it's all done. Okay? But by using this smartphone technique, I will always be able to have this recording, and I'm recording this in my second bedroom in my condo. There is no sound treatment. I simply have it about 3 inches away from my face, about 2 inches below. I have an actual box that I set to where it gets it that close to my voice. Okay? Now, let's go back to Reaper, and we'll work this audio. Okay, guys. Now, what I've done is I've taken my smartphone, which is an iPhone. I have it set up as per the instructions up here on the website on how to do this. Now, I can be talking with somebody on Skype. I can be talking at Google Hangouts. I can be talking on any VOIP system. But yet the recording that we're going to mix and master in Reaper is going to be taken from my smartphone. Okay, guys. Now, I've got the EQ set basically the way that I want it. And you have to understand this is a very individual preference of what sounds good to you. Now that I've got my EQ set, now I'm going to work on the gate. Okay? And we'll see how that goes. Okay, guys. Now, what I've done is I've taken my smartphone, which is an iPhone. I have it set up as per the instructions up here on the website on how to do this. Now, I can be talking with somebody on Skype. I can be talking at Google Hangouts. I can be talking on any VOIP system. But yet the recording that we're going to mix and master in Reaper is going to be taken from my smartphone. And this will be enough audio here to where I can show you a good example. So what I've done is I've eliminated audio fade, power outages, computer crashes, software crashes, as well as the service providers going offline. Now I have Comcast cable. They do unexpectedly go off. Okay, now that we've got that set, let's go ahead and go back to the beginning. We're going to trap our audio inside here now with everything set. And then let's look at our meter again and see what our background noise is. Or noise floor. Apologize, grabbed the wrong one. See the number, guys? Now it's down to infinity. Okay? There it is. The proof is in the pudding. I'm going to play this now with the FX on and with it off. And you'll see this meter change. And that's it, guys. That is how you take and record anything you want to. You know, keep in mind, you're talking to somebody via Skype, but they're recording their conversation on their smartphone. And face it, it's 2017 now. Almost everybody has a smartphone. If you got any questions, hit me up. I love getting your emails. I always respond back to them. God bless. Take care, and we are out of here.